Sunday night may have been a single night record for vandalisms, but that's been going on for months. If you go along here, you're going to find glass like this up and down these streets because of how often this is happening. And it's not just that vandalism. They reported even being able to smell the gunpowder still when they arrived. They say that more shooting happened down along here. Someone was laying on a bench in front of the post office, and we can still see a bloody shirt. When they arrived, they say they located a suspect and then shots were fired. That is all the detail that they have provided. It is extremely deep. We understand it gained several 20, 30 feet in this parking lot over the last few hours, and it has completely engulfed Riverfront Live. That light that Bob's mother-in-law saw that reminded her of home all but disappears at night. I'll tell you what, though, I had to wear one of these, so definitely not quite complete. And if you really look at the outside, it still doesn't look like much. He would later tell officers this was actually the first accident he'd ever been in. The entire inside of it is essentially gutted. So it doesn't matter how many flags people saw out here. What they stand for is what people are upset about. And we'll have him pan over right now and show you where exactly that was. You're probably going to see written on the side of it, for food use only. And yet, it's being sold at Mr. Puff's Smoke Shop. So just take a moment and listen to what a typical night here on Carr Road sounds like. It's very quiet. It's very rural. That's exactly what people like out here.
Hey!
There we go. There we go, guys. You got to cut away from me now because I'm not going to do any better than that. Thank you.
I tried to elevate myself and hold myself to a level of responsibility and accountability and charity and business ownership that I could be proud of. And I got to stop at a stop sign and somebody called me the N-word.
Eric Ruffin stared down a group of people holding Nazi flags and guns just a few hundred feet from his business. Anyone who drove along I-75 near Evendale Friday afternoon saw the same thing.
Officially letting you know there is racism in America.
Residents of nearby Lincoln Heights soon arrived to protest the Nazi demonstration.
This is something that we all need to take a stand for. We need them to know this is not the 1960s. This is 2025. We are not playing at this time around.
We're told the people on the bridge came and went in a U-Haul, leaving shortly after locals arrived. Evendale police released a statement that the demonstration, while offensive, was legal. Protesters took issue with that response.
You're allowed to have a protest, but where's your permit? Where's your permission? And then inciting hate, calling people n***s. That's not right.
When Fox 19 arrived, this car had its windows smashed and its tires slashed. Protesters stated that they believed it belonged to one of the men with the Nazi flags.
That's hate. That's what hate is. That's what hate gets you.
Protesters say they were shocked and disgusted by what they saw on that overpass, but their gathering was about standing together.
This is unity. This is all you. Nobody's here to fight. Nobody's here to cause any trouble. Nobody's here to do any of that. But what we're not going to do is have hatred.
This love, like this united, like we united. Like
I hope that this can change, but you have to realize that this is a big issue.
Protesters say they saw hate and they stood their ground. They say they want to know if the masked people on that bridge will simply retreat without repercussions.
What's going to happen next? That's the question. What happens next? DJ was her adopted son. She fostered him initially. He had been the victim of a fire as a baby, so he was missing a hand, 2 feet. He was severely disabled. She explained that she chose to adopt him when she was singing to him one day, and he pulled her in so that he could listen a bit more. Those are the kind of stories that they want to make sure that these people are remembered for, and not the way that they died.
I was supposed to get a phone call that said Miss Pat left us and went to heaven laughing or calmly in her sleep. Not the call that was received by so many family members today.
Rosemary Oglesby Henry says she was on Springbrook Drive today waiting for a police standoff to end and hoping that her friend Patricia McCollum was okay.
I am still in shock. I am overwhelmed.
Police say Anthony Mathis killed Patricia, her adopted son DJ, and 11-year-old Cadence McCollum. Mathis was taken into custody after a SWAT standoff that lasted hours and left neighbors shocked. Rosemary says she's found herself forced to mourn.
The last thing that she said to us was, "I love you, Rose. I'm ready to get back to work." And she said, "I'll be there for you till I take my last breath."
Many people knew Patricia McCollum as Miss Pat, but few knew her like Rosemary did.
Rosemary was 6 when they met, and today she's the CEO of Rosemary's Babies, a charity to help teen moms that Miss Pat helped create.
She was a teen mom, I was a teen mom, and here we are 28 years later.
That charity is looking to soon open the Holloway House to help provide housing and resources to teen moms and their babies. She says Miss Pat died a day before their last step in getting the house approved before opening in November.
She won't be able to see us actually open the doors for our first parent. She won't be able to hug that first person to walk in the room like she does, those powerful hugs. She won't be able to know what an impact that the lives that she's helped to change through Rosemary's Babies Company and the more than 200 kids that she fostered, how that's truly left a legacy on this city.
Through fostering and adoption, she built a family, but it grew with kindness and charity. Rosemary herself is the goddaughter of Pat's daughter. People will hear about Patricia McCollum and what happened to her. But Rosemary says the people in need who see her name in bronze on a plaque at Holloway House will be the ones who know what she stood for.
She lived her life until today, making sure that everyone had an opportunity, that everyone was understood, and that everyone had a chance, that Pat McCollum was for the people, and her legacy will live.
Director of the Emergency Shelter of Northern Kentucky, Kim Webb, says they have limited resources. Oftentimes, their staff has to turn people away.
They answer the phone 24/7, answer the door, and look at people in the eye and say, we don't have another option for you.
She says when they're not an option, all that's left is for many people to sleep outside. Folks like Frank.
I'm more or less anywhere I can sleep. It's up in the air from one minute to the next.
Beneath a sign placed by the county urging people not to give him money, we found him with his own sign that says, "Bet you can't hit me with a quarter."
Hey, where you want the hit at? Right here on the sign. Oh! Thank you. Sorry. Hey, God bless you. They throw them at me all the time, and I'll pick them up, put them in my pocket, man. They bounce off my chest or my face or whatever. Oh, well. I mean, what the hell? I mean, life's what it is, man.
Frank says he'll spend a whole day here with people happily throwing change at him. At night, he can't always find a bed. If he sleeps outside, new legislation means he could go to jail. The Safer Kentucky Act has been in place a little over a month now, and it bans camping in places not designated as campsites. For now, Webb says their clients have yet to be arrested.
There's a lot of warnings.
She says they just pick up and move to another location because there's nothing else they can do.
Homelessness is not a poverty issue. Homelessness is a housing problem that requires a community solution.
Webb explained that many of their clients have jobs, but not any that pay well enough. According to the National Low-Income Housing Coalition, if you make minimum wage in Kentucky, you'd need to work 94 hours a week to afford a one-bedroom rental home.
You have individuals who are trying to get out of that system and work. And, it's becoming increasingly harder to do so.
So folks can't afford a place to live, they might not have room at a shelter, and sooner or later this new law will mean the only option is jail. The offense would be a Class B misdemeanor, which could mean a fine they can't afford or up to 90 days in jail.
I think there's a level of fear. They don't want to go to jail. They don't have the means in which to pay a fine, or they don't want it on their record.
Frank says all he wants is a job and a place to sleep. If the only option available for him to rest his head at night means he's a criminal, he's not sure how it's ever going to make his life better.
To actually take the time and make somebody turn around and so they can put their handcuffs on them and take them to jail just because they're homeless. Wow. They're going to have to find something better to do than sit there and harass people for being homeless.